Hi, this is Sue from the Mountain Canary Company. Ed's going to discuss with you about how not to get lost in the backcountry, at least give you a few tips. Okay? Go ahead, Ed.
Hi, folks. This is a really interesting subject because I know that there are so many things on your mind when you start dealing with these horses or mules and start riding off in different areas and wondering, am I prepared to do it? So here, with the Mountain Canary Company, our goal here is to give you as many things to think about and directions you can think as possible. Today we're going to talk about not so much as not getting lost, is not staying lost. There's no way I can tell what's going to stop you from getting lost. There's no possible way. But I can give you some hints on how to mitigate that situation if you find yourself lost or seriously confused on foot. Riding, you usually find yourself on a trail. Most government agencies don't want you off trails. If you decide to go off trail, cross country, well, then you've got some other issues altogether. But this could help you possibly there too if you find yourself seriously lost. Now, the thing about it is to remember, when you're lost, you have no idea where you are. You think you know where you were, but you're not even sure that you know where you were. So one of the points we have to do is we have to have an anchor point, a place to start from. And that place to start from is to look down at the ground and where's your 2 feet standing? And that's where you are. And so a good way to prepare for all of this is to be tooled for it. And one of the best tools to have is a compass. Now, this compass I've been carrying around with me for, over 20 years. It's not a very expensive compass. It's held up in those fork bags of mine, but it's simple. A compass is basically a magnetized needle floating on the surface of water. That's all a compass is. Well, this isn't a wet compass. This is a dry compass. So it's the same thing. But so basically, that's how simple a compass is. And you don't need to be worrying about all the degrees and all the numbers on a compass. You really don't have to if you get the right kind of compass. And a lot of the hiker compasses, and most of the hiker compasses, come with a preset bezel in the center of them, which will help you line up and keep you in a direction of going in a straight direction. And that's all you really want. Now, if you start to walk off without your compass, you're probably going to walk in a circle. Why? Because one leg's slightly shorter than another. And you'll start to favor yourself around that way and drag yourself around, hopefully where you started anyway. So, let's think about that for a minute. Why do I want to go in a straight line? Well, if you're out there trying to figure out where to go, you don't want to be wandering around in a circle. If you say, I want to go over that hill over there, I think I could see where I'm at from that hill over there, get a better view. Well, there's a snaggy old tree sitting up there. So you're going to want to take a bearing on that tree. Now, wait a minute, don't get confused because I use the word bearing. It's going to be really simple here in a second. In other words, I take a shot of where I want to be. I want to set my compass up so I can walk straight to that. In the meantime, I'm going to have figured out where this point was. In other words, opposite the direction I went is where I was. So if I decide I want to be not where I am, but where I was, you just aim back in that direction. So, one of the best ways to keep a compass on you, whenever you leave, if you have to keep a compass in your saddlebag like I did, I had no intentions. I knew exactly where I was at all time, and I had no intentions of of going anywhere where other than where I was going. So I didn't think twice about leaving it in my fork bag. But for the average rider out there, it's not a bad idea to have a compass on them physically. Well, geez, I got so much crap in my pockets right now, I have no room. Well, what really works awfully good is what they call a cameraman's vest or a fisherman's vest. Lots of pockets and things you can put them in. You don't need to fill out all the pockets. You can put stuff in them so they're still comfortable. And if you get the right ones, they're quite airy. And my suggestion is, when you go riding, don't leave without it. And for sure, if you leave that animal and walk off to the brush, don't go on the brush without it. You can have an extra candy bar in there. You can have your compass. You can have a handkerchief. You can have it's just some extra Band-Aids. You can keep in on your person. This is a walk-in saddlebag, so to speak, of some things that you can use as an emergency kit and comfort kit. You know, a lot of toilet paper stuck in one of your pockets. So it's really pretty handy to think about it. If you think somebody's going to laugh at you, bunch because you're wearing one and they're not, well, let's see. Wonder out. Do I want to be lost? Do I want to be in trouble or not? I'd put up with their haranguing. I wouldn't worry about it. They're not much in the way of friends if they're doing that to you. In other words, they're scared they're going to have to wear one, and it's much better like not wearing a helmet and having wind in your hair. So at this point, I want to take and bring Sue in and set up here and let you take a look down at this compass when I start moving it around so you can see it. And then, so if we could take a short break here, anytime you want, Sue. Hi folks, thanks for coming back here, not running off on me. Okay, let's take a look at this little compass here. Let's take a look at some of the parts of it. This is a very important area because this is the arrow you're going to want to use to point the direction you want to go. The compass has a bunch of degrees on its face, but those aren't near as important to you as right down inside here. If you look down inside, you'll see a red tip, which is the magnetized tip of the compass, which points north. You don't pay attention to these degrees. It's just pointing north. That's always pointing north. We haven't swung it. If you'll notice down in the center here, there's an outline of that needle. Okay? Now, this has a bezel, which means it turns. So we're going to turn this bezel around so we line up that outline with that needle. Okay? Now, that's really important. So what we got is we've got a tree over here. Okay? We want to walk across this stretch of dirt, gullies, fallen logs, and whatever, and look from the top of that hill where that tree is. And we're going to sight on that tree. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over, we're going to take this, we're going to line that up, hold it up and line it up with that tree. Hold it up and line it up with that tree, okay? And when we do that, I'm going to put this back down so you can see better. Once we've lined up with that tree, then we're going to take this bezel. You see how the needle's floating not in there? See, it's floating not in there. Now we're going to swing the bezel around and line it up. Now, when it's set up like that, if you walk towards that tree, you will get straight towards that tree if you keep that needle in that little outline. Now the thing about it is, you're going to be all over the place. All right, you're going to be walking around. That's going to be moving all over. Stop every few minutes. Line it back up again. Get your direction. And keep trucking in that direction. Always keep walking in the direction of your arrow. And when you get there, and you will get there, you'll get there a reasonable distance from it. This then is your key. This is your key to tell you you're going in the right direction. You may not have your glasses with you. You may have fallen broken them. You can't read all these silly degrees. So there you are. So now you get to that tree. And you go, well, I can't see nothing for the forest for the trees again. I need to go back to where I was to start. So at that point, it's either you set everything up and you can read back here, and at this point it's about 62 degrees. It's really pushing towards east, which is north and east. Don't pay attention to me on that. So you got one way you can do it. You can just take this and turn this around till it says 60 degrees on this side. All right? All right? Now, at that point, no, wait, I did that wrong. 60 degrees on that point, okay? Now we can walk directly back that 60 degrees, or we can swing the compass around. So we got the arrow, all right? Okay, now we turn this back to here, so we line them up. So you can either just turn around and walk straight back, keeping it in balance, or if you want to keep track of the arrow, you just turn the arrow around and then line these back up again, and you'll be back at 60 degrees. This time it'll be 60 instead of 250, and then you're walking back towards where you were. So now what you have is, if that young, this way you know where you are and where you've been. You know more than walking around in the woods going, I'm lost, and you're getting scared and you're getting nervous. This helps you keep some control. If you keep checking out, going different directions, you'll find, sooner or later, find something that's recognizable to you. If nothing else, you've got control of your direction, which is huge if you're in a situation where you're lost. And if you're with a bunch of people, and they think we ought to go this way, we ought to go this way, we ought to go that way, you got the eliminator, you've got the compass. It will tell you where to go and where not to go. So, I was packing a trail crew into in the Olympic National Park into the Duckabush. I was packing a park crew at the same time I was packing a crew for the Washington State Conservation Corps. We had a young fellow the trip before who had gotten lost. He'd stopped to drop his pack at the bottom of the big hump, bottom of the little hump, and headed off into business to do his business in the woods. Got confused, come back and found the trail and found his pack, and he was late getting in there the trip before. It's about 11 miles in. It's a pretty rugged trail. It's a very interesting 11 miles. So next tour, I brought them all in again, and I went by, and there was his pack on the trail again. Well, I hoped he figured out enough to survive this whole thing. We got in there, and I had set my camp up, fed my animals, got all my stuff taken care of, just finished supper, and I was listening to the trail crew boss for the park and this WCC crew boss talking, and this kid then showed up. It was getting towards dark, and everybody's concerned. So this WCC crew guys stripped down just what they needed, flashlights and whatever they needed, and start hot-footing it out. Well, it's a long way to hot-foot it. They're young, strong guys, but still, they took a beating. They got to back where his pack was, still sitting there. Started hollering. They found him. He hollered back. Oh boy, he was happy to see them. He had lost his way again. This time he decided to start a fire because it was getting cold. He burned his t-shirt up trying to start the fire, couldn't get it going. He was in for a really bad night. They all spent a miserable night. They'd gone back to the trail and stayed in the pickup truck. Mind you, they left camp in their t-shirts and so forth, and it was a pretty cold night. So the thing was, he was lost in an area that was triangular. The river was on one side, and not too great far away. And the other side was a road, again, not too far away. And on the third side was a trail. If he'd have been able to walk in a straight line in any direction, he'd have come across one of them, which would have told him downstream, well, I'm probably downstream, I'm going to hit something like the road, and gone downstream. If he'd hit the road, he'd went, well, I either go left or right, and that's not a big deal. If he hit the trail, oh, I'm on the trail. Now I got to go back and figure out where his pack is. But he didn't. He didn't have the compass. Something as simple as that. Now, what I've given you is just a really rudimentary piece of business about a compass. My suggestion is to pick up reasonably priced compass. Easy, not too expensive, cheap, not something that's junk. These hiker compasses are not junk. They're good. Remember, all you need is a needle, magnetized needle, really. And go out in the backyard, start playing with it. Go out in the woods, play with it where you know you are. Get the feel for it. Get an understanding of it. You're probably going to be one of the few people in your group riding that has any idea what a compass does. The second thing you can do is Robert Eversole puts on his site. He's got some very good information. He's a great teacher on orienteering and not getting lost and etc. He has some great compass courses. There's books out there. Compass Reading for Dummies is an example. So I mean, there's all kinds of ways to approach it. But just knowing that you've got the compass with you, knowing that you know how to work with it, knowing that you can use it if you need it, knowing that's going to give you an element of control and satisfaction. That's going to eliminate some of the fears and worries you may have when you go into the backcountry. But again, don't wander off. Don't wander off in the dark to do your business, or wander off to go look at something and leave your vest with your compass in it back in camp. It's again, if you don't have that compass, you can't use it. Well, folks, there's another one for you. I hope it's been some of interest to you. I thank you very much for coming by. And as always, please ride as often as you can, but please, please ride as safely as you can. We'll see you later. Good day.